Hey, fifth grade. Good morning. I hope y'all are doing really well today. It has been nice. We have had several days of beautiful, nice spring weather. I hope you've been able to get outside and enjoy it some. I got outside on Sunday, but not quite so much on days that I work because it takes a long time to do all this stuff. But my kids are certainly enjoying it. Getting out, getting some sunshine. It's really good for us to stay healthy. Of course, you got to stay away from everybody. Other kids, which is kind of hard because the neighbor kids are out too. But we're all doing the best we can. And I miss you guys. I can't wait to see you. I know that we have a few more weeks yet. I'm working on learning how to Zoom. So I'm thinking that we'll do some Zoom lessons after spring break. We can at least see each other's faces. That'll be nice, right? So I'm still kind of learning, working out the kinks. I'm not sure how it works yet, but I'm going to run my first session today. So after I do that and I have a little bit of practice, then we'll all start doing it together. And it'll be a great way for us, especially to talk about Hatchet together. But today is not Hatchet. Today we're going to do some grammar. Now I have you working on your helping verbs. You need to work on memorizing those because after spring break, you are going to have to recite them for me. I'm going to have you send me a video, which will be kind of cool because you're going to make a video for me instead of me making a video for you for a change. And I'll get to see your faces. I can't wait. Okay, so hopefully your parents will be cooperative and video you and send them to me. But that's after spring break. Right now, what you're focused on is learning them. You can sing the song. You can list them off, but you need to learn those helping verbs so that it's easier for you to recognize them. So today, I'm going to go over your workbook pages 89 and 90, and then 91 a little bit because you have 91 and 92 as your assignment today, okay? So 89 I went over with you guys together, but I just kind of want to review that sometimes the verb, an action verb, has more than one word. You have your main verb and your helper. The helper always comes before the main verb, and it just, well, it helps. It helps it makes the sentence more clear. So your helping verbs are am, is, are, was, were, will, have, has, had, do, does, did, would, could, should. Okay, I sort of know them. I'm gonna have to relearn them right along with you. Now we're still finding prepositional phrases in our sentences, and you're underlining. So for on page 89, the guide to practice, if you were following along when I went over in the previous video, for number 1, you should have hockey underlined once as the subject and has been underlined twice as the verb phrase. Now we call it a verb phrase at this point, or the complete verb, because it has more than one word. Number 2, you should have underlined family once as the subject, and then has played twice as the verb. And then number 3, when you're diagramming, you would put in parentheses in the morning, because that was a prepositional phrase, and in the field, because that was also a prepositional phrase. And then the first thing you should have is class. Then you have a perpendicular line that crosses the sentence line. You'll have will play. Then you'll have a perpendicular line that does not cross the sentence line, and you'll have hockey. In fact, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like on my page, okay? So notice this line crosses the sentence line. This line does not, okay? When you're diagramming, you have to be very specific about how you do your lines, okay? So I want to make sure that you're doing those properly, all right? So do those right. Make sure you do them carefully. Now remember, from our math, perpendicular means that it's straight up and down and it goes at a right angle to the other line that it intersects. So you have right angles, little square angles, okay? All right, so now let's look at page 90. This one you were supposed to do on your own. Now, I really hope that you are being honest and doing these on your own and submitting them to me before you check them. Now, when you check them, I want you to fix your mistakes on your paper and actually think about it. Now, if you made lots of mistakes, then you need to go back and watch some videos, and you need to or contact me and let me know that you're struggling and that you're having some problems, okay? So let's look at 90. Number one, well, for the first part, you are doing the underlining the simple subject once and the complete verb twice. So this is simply finding the subject and the verb, okay? Number one, the Chicago Blackhawks are playing in our city. The subject is Chicago Blackhawks. That should be underlined once. Are playing is the verb phrase, so you should underline both of those words twice. Now, yes, Chicago Blackhawks is also two words because it's a proper noun of the name of a team, so you can underline both of those words, okay? Number two, the team is leading the league in goals for this season. Team is your subject. You're going to underline that once. Is leading is the verb phrase, so you're going to underline that twice. Number three, hockey has recognized Gordie Howe for his scoring abilities. You're going to underline hockey once as your subject, and then has recognized is the verb phrase. It gets underlined twice. Number four, he has scored 1,071 goals for the Red Wings. He is the subject. It gets underlined once. And then has scored is your verb phrase. That gets underlined twice. Number six, Gordie Howe has held many NHL scoring records. Gordie Howe is your subject. You underline that once. We underline both words because it's his proper name. And then has held is the verb. That gets underlined twice. All right, so now in this next one, you're going to put parentheses around the prepositional phrase, and then you are going to diagram the simple subject and the complete verb. If it contains a direct object, you're also going to add that to the diagram. Remember, a direct object answers the question who or what after the verb. And then you're going to write the sentence pattern in the box. So that means you're writing the SVDO, SV, something like that, okay? I'll probably show you my answers, what mine look like in a minute. Excuse me. All right, so number six. You will find a famous museum in Toronto, Canada. In is a preposition. So in Toronto, Canada is a prepositional phrase. You should have put parentheses around that. Now the subject is you. So that goes on the line first. Then you do the perpendicular line that crosses the sentence line, and you do the verb, which is will find. Now, is there a direct object? Let's ask the question, will find what? Museum answers that question. So museum is the direct object. So you have your tiny little perpendicular line that does not cross the sentence line and write museum. So then in the box, you're going to write the initials SVDO as your sentence pattern. Number seven, the Canadian Prime Minister opened it in 1961. Again, we have an in. In is a preposition. So in 1961 is a prepositional phrase. You should have parentheses around that one. The Canadian Prime Minister is the subject. I know you might be tempted to include Canadian in this, but that is not part of his proper name. Canadian is an adjective telling us what type of Prime Minister he is. So it's just Prime Minister. That now we have to keep the prime in there because that's part of the title of the job. Okay, so Prime Minister is the subject. Opened is our verb. There's no helper. It's just opened. Okay, so that goes on the line next. You have Prime Minister, then you have your perpendicular line that crosses the sentence line, opened, and then you'll have your little bitty line, and then the direct object. What's the direct object? Well, what did they open? Opened what? Opened it. So it goes there in the direct object spot. So then in the box, you're going to write again SVDO. Number 8, I'm collecting autographs of famous hockey players. Of is a preposition. Of hockey players is our prepositional phrase. So put that one in parentheses. Then we have I as the subject. That goes on the line first. Then you have your perpendicular sentence line that goes all the way through. The verb phrase is am collecting, and then am collecting what? Autographs. So since autographs answers that question, autographs is the direct object, so it goes next. So then we have SVDO in the box again. Number 9, my dad has seen the trophies in the museum's exhibit room. In is a preposition. So in the museum's exhibit room is our prepositional phrase. Put that in parentheses. Dad is the subject. Has seen is the verb phrase. And then has seen what? Trophies. Trophies is your direct object. So in the box, we have SVDO. Number 10, we should visit in the summer. In is still a preposition, so in the summer is a prepositional phrase. We is the subject. Should visit is our verb. Should visit what? There's no answer. So you're going to write SV in the line. Now I'm going to put this up to the camera for a second so you guys can see. Yeah, can I do it? There it is. See how the lines work and how everything should fit on the lines. Check and make sure that yours looks like this with the perpendicular lines in the right places and the ones that are supposed to cross the sentence line, and some of them are not. Okay? All right, and then you're apply and write. You better have some sentences written. I always expect you guys to do the apply and write. And I'm sorry, I apologize for the fact that the background here is just glowing. I might have to find a different place to do some of my videos because, wow, there's a lot of glare back there. I hope that it isn't bothering you. Let me know if it's a problem, but that's a big window. And they say that you're not supposed to do videos in front of windows, but this is like the best, quietest place in my house. This is where I do my work. And those are actually room darkening shades. They're supposed to make the room darker, but it doesn't work. All right, anyways, because the sun is just so bright today out there. So you can see if I go like this. All right, that's my big window. Okay, and all my junk up below it, which you probably just saw. All right, not junk. It's actually all my classwork and my books and stuff. The problem is I'll put the books in like neat piles, and then the kitties get up there to look out the windows and they smush everything all around. So I don't have like a really good place here in my office to keep all my books and things organized. So I'm constantly trying to like organize them and go through them. But anyways, that's just a little side note. No kitties in here for you today though. All right, so let's look at page 91 because we're continuing with helping verbs. A helping verb must agree with the simple subject. We've talked about subject-verb agreement before. The verb has to agree with the subject. If it's a singular subject, it has to be a singular verb. If it's a plural subject, it has to be a plural verb. And that's the same thing with helping verbs. So it's the difference between using has or have or is and was. It has to agree with the simple subject, and it also has to agree with the verb that it's helping. So in your yellow box, it gives you some examples. A singular subject gets a singular form of the verb, as in Tim has played hockey, or Tim does play hockey. You wouldn't say Tim do play hockey. You wouldn't say Tim have played hockey. You say has, okay? And you wouldn't say Tim was played hockey or is played hockey, because that doesn't make any sense, okay? Then a plural subject needs the plural form of the verb. Tim and Ben are playing hockey. Now, a lot of people mess that up and might say Tim and Ben is playing hockey. And in some cases, that almost sounds okay, but it's still wrong. If you have a compound subject, you have to have a plural verb. They were playing hockey, okay? Now, if it was Tim or Ben, then it would be is, because now we're talking about one or the other. Okay, so it would be Tim or Ben is playing hockey. And that sounds kind of weird. But anyways, I don't think we have any problems like that. So you're not getting any tricky questions like that. The pronouns I and you then are exceptions. So sometimes, so I and you, it kind of is a little bit different. I have played hockey instead of I has. I do play hockey instead of I does. And I am playing hockey. Okay. You have played hockey is the same. You do play hockey and you are playing hockey. So I and you are a little bit different, and they are going to take the plural form. So here you have a chart which gives you some help that lets you know singular subjects and he, she, it, and you we'll take the present tense helping verbs has, is, does, past tense had, was, is, singular pronouns we, they, and you, have, are, do, had, were, it, did, and then I gets have, am, do, had, was, did. So follow the chart, okay? Sometimes adverbs such as usually, often, sometimes, not, never, come between the main verb and the helping verb. They are not part of the verb phrase. You don't put them in the verb phrase line. They're just telling you more about the verbs. So for example, hockey players will usually exercise daily. The verb phrase is will exercise. Usually is an adverb that tells us how often. They may often practice before the sun rises. May practice is the verb phrase. Often is an adverb, again, telling us how often or how much. So let's look at your guided practice. You're going to underline the simple subject once and the correct helping verb twice. Number 1, the National Hockey League establish official rules for the game. So National Hockey League is our subject, and what we're going to choose is does, because that is the verb that agrees with National Hockey League. So underline does twice. Number 2, many cities developed hockey programs. Cities is the subject. Cities is plural. We need to choose a plural helping verb. So we're going to go with have. We're going to underline have twice. So it'll read, many cities have developed hockey programs. Now you're going to underline the subject once, the complete verb twice, and then circle the adverb that is the helping verb that is between the helping verb and the main verb. So number 3, hockey players are usually traveling during the season. Players is the subject. The verb phrase is are traveling. So you're going to underline are twice, underline traveling twice, and then you're going to circle usually. That's the adverb that comes between in the verb phrase. Number 4, they will often practice for many hours a day. The subject is they. The verb is will practice. You're going to underline will twice. You're going to underline practice twice. And then you're going to circle often, because often is the adverb that comes between. So now you're going to work on page 90 where you're going to do the same thing. And don't forget to do the apply and write. And I will see you again very soon. Bye.